Hi, it's Bianca, and today we're eating at the most expensive hotel in Tulum. You've seen me do this before at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, where I ate at a top-rated restaurant in my city. Damn, I miss that era of YouTube where we were all just chillin', eating, and enjoying whatever came our way. This time we're in a city very far from our own, in a restaurant much different than any restaurant I've ever been to. This hotel, which is in Tulum, Mexico, called Azalik, starts at $1,050 per night, where breakfast is included with your stay. No, I'm not staying here, I'm just eating breakfast, which you had to pay for before you actually sat down and ate, but we'll get to the logistics in a second, after you subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel so I could continue making fun videos like this. I'm not going to stop, but your support really keeps me going. Firstly, this hotel, as mentioned, is called Azalik, but the restaurant is called Kinto. Now, you're not allowed in the hotel if you are not a guest, so the way it's designed is all separate entities, sort of overlapping onto one another as if you're just sitting upon the jungle. Anyway, you don't need a reservation for breakfast, but for dinner it is highly recommended. Considering I'm a vegetarian and not really a dinner person, we chose to come to Kinto at around 8 a.m. Before you're able to walk into the building, you're greeted by what I suppose are doormen. They have walkie-talkies, which then they page the restaurant to start preparing your arrival. It's seemingly really fancy feeling. They alert you that there is a minimum dollar amount per person to be paid before your meal starts. Initially, I was really turned off by this, and it made me feel pressured to spend money I did not have to, but I looked at it differently when I thought about the idea of buffets. You pay, you eat whatever you want for as long as you want, and for as long as what fits in your jeans. You hang out, and then you leave. It was $30 per person, or 600 pesos per person. Again, when the doorman told me it was 600 each, knowing how much the hotel cost in a night, I honestly lost my shit a bit. We giggled it off after realizing that we just had this barrier between us, that he meant pesos and I was thinking dollars. So then he walked us up this tree-lined ramp and showed us up a spiral staircase into the restaurant, where we were greeted by a hostess. The hostess then verified that the doorman told us so we must pay first, and we gave her our credit card to pay a total of around $60. As we walked through the restaurant to a gorgeous circular table by a huge window, away from anybody else, granted we were one of the first two parties there at the time, as it was 8 a.m., we passed what was theoretically Instagram model heaven, an opening to the jungle with ropes and pillows on the floor, hovering over the staircase as we walked up. Circular cabana-style tables and cushions were overlooking this treehouse playground, and although we had an option to eat there, we opted out for practicality. We were perfectly happy with our corner table. The chairs were heavy and durable, and the table was wide enough to sprawl out and order an abundance of food. After all, we did pay a buffet price to eat breakfast at the fanciest hotel in Tulum. We started with drinks. Their menu didn't have much Americanized coffee options, but Jordan got a regular coffee with milk and sugar on the side, and I chose the Mayan hot cocoa option along with fresh squeezed orange juice. The juice was delicious, as I expected, considering every juice place, cheap or expensive, has been wildly delicious in Tulum. And the Mayan hot chocolate was so good I ended up ordering one to go when we were on our way out, but we'll get to that after we eat. Jordan's coffee was good and strong, had a very flavorful taste, as he describes. The coffee and cocoa/cacao ran us about 100 to 110 pesos each, but I might do a full menu price breakdown later on. I actually, ironically, before I ordered food, had a stomachache from whatever the fuck I ate the night before, so I took myself to the bathroom, and the bathroom hung like a little treehouse, just like the rest of the restaurant. Overlooking jungle landscape, mirrored with big windows as well as a mirror to reflect the nature. The actual stalls were a wee bit small, but other than that, it was a pretty solid restroom for Tulum. I will say though, I liked some other restaurants' restrooms better, just like they were a bit more flowy to me, even if they were a lot less expensive as Azalik. Moving on. First up on the menu, I was excited to order the green tea chia pudding. I'm a sucker for chia seeds, and everything in Tulum has been so health conscious and yummy, so I was expecting the chia pudding to have a very earthy matcha-like taste. But it was a lot more tart than anticipated. I had a few bites and then kind of just left it in the middle of the table. Along with my first round of food, I ordered their oatmeal. Hotel oatmeal is literally my pride and joy. I talk about it every and any chance that I possibly could to anyone or anybody. and unfortunately the oatmeal devastated me. It may be one of those things where it's too fancy for their own good, but damn, it lacked taste and flavor punchability. It had yummy seeds and dried fruits on it, but the sweetness was none thereof, and the cinnamon was non-existent, although it said that it had cinnamon on it. I also kind of left that in the middle of the table after a few bites. Jordan ordered the brioche French toast first, which is a very Jordan thing to order for breakfast. His dish had coconut milk, vanilla, passion fruit sauce, and maple syrup. He and I think that it could have done without the passion fruit sauce, as the mix of flavors became a little sour, but all in all, his French toast gets a solid 8 out of 10, and takes the lead on dishes we ate thus far for breakfast. We ate for a while, and then I took it upon myself to explore the restaurant while I digested a bit, and waited to order more food. Initially, we wanted to come here because the restaurant has what they call nests, seated outside and above the trees where you can dine and relax. Unfortunately, outdoor seating really wasn't an option as it was downpouring the morning we visited. We weren't going to let this ruin our plans, so inside was just as nice. But obviously, as you can imagine, eating breakfast so early in the morning, listening to the wild animals and ocean in the distance, would have really made the experience that more exciting. The rest of the decor was stunning. Again, these treehouse-like feels made you feel as if you were just dining completely in nature. No modern, makes me anxious formal affair, just a nice time surrounded by wood, candles, and trees. So I got back to the table to share with Jordan my discoveries, and of course, order more food. I went ahead and ordered the waffle, which had caramelized bananas, pecans, mango butter, and chocolate from Oaxaca on it. And to be honest with you, the waffle was pretty dry, and I for certain had better waffles from late night diner hangs. Regardless, I felt like I was paying for the atmosphere rather than the food in Azalea, which is slightly disappointing, but I'm not going to knock it. Theoretically, we still had some money to order an egg dish, but we both weren't in the mood for eggs, although they actually looked quite delicious. Later on into breakfast, the restaurant got more busy, and the table behind me ordered what looked like huevos rancheros. I think we made a mistake by not ordering some sort of huevos, but again, we sort of live life on a wing it, I'm not going to dwell on it basis. After sharing the waffle and needing a moment of peace, we both headed over to that jungle treehouse landing where we took a breather to take some photos. All of the photos and short videos are on my Instagram, so you can follow me at BiancaLOB to make sure you see the edited romanticism of this place. You know, it's really an Instagram versus reality kind of situation, as my feet, they're not very, very small, but they're small enough to fit through the holes here, and it's just a little bit of a scooch and a stretch to get over to this spot right now. While we were taking videos on my actual camera, the hostess did come over to us and asked if the doorman told us about their fee for videography. Obviously, nobody told us, and I'm not paying to share moments with all of you, so we switched to my iPhone and carried on hanging above the pouring rain. Quick side note, and please share in the comments if you've ever been to a restaurant or a lounge where they make you pay for your own footage. I definitely have in my home of New York City, but on vacation I found it a little sus. It was just kind of a really random thing, especially because I was taking videos for so long before that. But again, I sort of got all the footage I wanted anyway, so I really didn't mind tuning out of my heavier equipment for the remainder of breakfast. We hung out in the treehouse jungle for quite some time, taking photos and not taking photos. There were other couples sprawled out doing the same, and then one woman who was having a full-on photo shoot. So I had one of those moments where I started people watching, and I have to say, I haven't done that in a while due to how the world has been this past year and a half, but it felt nice to finally observe others again, as I'm sure they observed me too. The only weird thing that happened in the treehouse was this grown-ass man taking the rope and shaking it while he was laughing while I took photos. He was literally trying to fuck with me, and instead of me feeding into it, I ignored his childish calls for attention. And Jordan, being the best photographer, wrapped up my mini shoot, and we headed back to the table to finish. Our waiter was so sweet, and he informed us that before we close out, we should order something else as we still had money left in credit to spend. Considering we were so full and not trying to lug takeout with us all day, I ordered another Mayan hot chocolate to go. This restaurant didn't have lids for takeout cups, as I could imagine the hotel guests eating free would take loads of things to go for the rest of the day, and maybe they were trying to refuse doing that. So I used a napkin to shield my cocoa from the torrential rain, and I hoped for the best. That was an oddball thing to observe as well, as a fancy, expensive hotel shouldn't really be so stingy with certain things like takeout or even photography, but who am I to know all of the answers? I'm just here to review breakfast and make fun vlogs so you could forget about reality for a second. Anyway, we wrapped up, and instead of leaving immediately, I wanted to show Jordan the nests we originally wanted to eat in. We then found another outdoor seating area behind the main bar and checked it out. The restaurant was certainly crowded by this point, so we decided to no longer linger and continue forth in our breakfast excursion. Heading down the spiral staircase once more with my napkin-covered Mayan hot chocolate was not the best form of balance for me. The staircase was slippery, my rubber sandals were wet, and everything was entirely damp. I did slip on the way down from the restaurant to the lobby, and I decided that if I were staying at this hotel, I probably wouldn't have made it. The doormen were carrying a hotel guest suitcase up to the hotel area, which is restricted to us, and watching them lug through the pouring rain inside of the hotel made me feel really bad. It seems like the hotel was designed more for aesthetics than practicality and accessibility. Considering it does rain on this coast of Mexico during this time of year, always, I'm really surprised that the hotel didn't consider more coverings for the guests, or at least a better trolley system for suitcases for the staff so they don't have to bust their asses as much. Here's to crossing my fingers they get paid extremely well, as the staff were super helpful to us, even though we weren't guests at all. Here's the part I'm sure you've been waiting for, the menu breakdown of what we ordered. Juice and 2 of the hot cocos were 110 peso each, coffee 120 peso, French toast 250 peso, waffle 220 peso, oatmeal 150 peso, chia pudding 190 peso, totaling 1290 peso, which technically was 90 peso over what we spent upon arrival, so we definitely got our money's worth as we did not have to pay the difference. All in all, I think the experience at Quinto topples the cuisine. The atmosphere is enough to clear your head for a while, it lets you forget the world for a mere moment and just relax up in the trees. The food, on the other hand, was completely underwhelming. We had so much unbelievable tasting food in Tulum, from taco stands, from downtown, from the ancient city of Valladolid, from side-of-the-road churro stands, from beachside bars. Knowing that you can always find affordable food for a much more satisfying taste is something that I'm so happy I am aware of. It's fun to ball out and visit fancier, more expensive places, but this vlog and review reminded me that my heart will always lie within hole-in-the-wall establishments where the people cook with love and it always feels like home. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and are eager to see the rest of the Tulum vlogs, adventures, and most importantly, eateries. Make sure you check out my channel and subscribe if you aren't yet, and to find specific locations I've visited, I've tagged everything on my Instagram. See you in the next video. That's definitely going to be less bougie than this. Have a good day. Bye!